Hello and good evening. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. It was a beautiful Sunday today. I got a chance to go to church and worship this morning, and that was a good worship service. So we've had some pretty rainy weather here recently because of the recent hurricane that came through Florida, through the Panhandle. Um, it hit Florida and went east of us, so we didn't really get a lot of the bad weather, the really bad weather. We did have some bad weather, but it wasn't terrible. We had a little rain and maybe a little bit of wind, but not a whole lot. It was pretty uneventful, which is a good thing. When you're talking about weather events, you don't want to have any bad weather. I've had a couple of trees come down on this property here where I have my headquarters, where my office is, and where my eBay selling headquarters is. I've had two trees come down in this yard, and I had to cut them up myself. Well, the first one I hired somebody to take it down because it actually leaned up against another tree, and so I didn't want to take a chance on hurting myself by trying to take that tree down. But the second one, it just fell down in the yard, so it was real easy to clean up. Good evening, Badlands Bandit. Good to see you on here tonight. Well, so we didn't have any bad weather, no significant weather events here in Montgomery, so it was not too bad. Fortunately, thank God. Um, I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes for everybody to come in. I've taken the last 2 weeks off. You all have noticed that I have not been doing my lives the last 2 weeks. Well, I decided to take a little bit of a break. I hope you all understand. It was good to get a little bit of a break away from doing those live streams. I don't want to burn myself out on doing the live streams. I really do enjoy the interaction that I have with you all on the Sunday night live streams, and so I want to continue to be able to do that and be able to enjoy it and not be burned out on it. So that's why I took a couple of weeks off from doing the live streams. But I am back now, and tonight I'm going to give you all an update on my eBay store and how it's doing. Our sales have been really good in the last 30 days. I've been very pleased with the sales, kind of a precursor for the third quarter. You know, the last 3 months of the year is usually the biggest or the best selling 3 months of the year. That would be October, November, and December. And today being the last day of September, or one of the last days of September, this will be the last live stream that I do in the second quarter, or in the third quarter. This is be the fourth quarter we're going into. So the fourth quarter is the quarter that is the best quarter of the year. I think in my last year in 2023, in the fourth quarter. Hello, Renee and Todd. Welcome to the live stream. Good to see you guys on here. But that just in December alone, I was able to sell like $9,000 worth of stuff. So that carried on into January, and January of 2024 was really good as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how we're going to be looking at the end of this year. Last year, at the end of the year, I did $47,000 in sales, which was pretty good considering I was only doing it part-time. I would only spend a couple of hours a day because I was working full-time last year on my regular job, and then I retired in January, as you all know. And so since I've been retired, I've had more time to spend doing listing and other things that I like to do with eBay. So So I have been spending a little bit more time with eBay, and that has really paid off, because in looking at my sales of where I'm at this year in September as compared to where I was last year in September, I'm about $15,000 more than I was last year in sales. So that's really good. I'm glad. I'm glad that the sales are, that the extra effort that I'm putting into it is showing in the sales that I'm doing. So we'll go ahead and get into my store performance and let you all see how my store is doing. So let's go to share screen. All right, the first thing I'm going to show you is um, the sales for this year. So this year, so far, in the 9 months that I have been selling on eBay, I have sold $38,181 in sales. Ping G, good to see you on here. You're new to the channel. Welcome. So you came over from Wolfman's Goodies. Good to see you on here tonight. I'm going to be talking about my eBay sales and my store performance tonight. So just curious, do you sell on eBay, or are you a reseller? I think that Renee and also Badlands Bandit are also sellers on eBay, but I'm not certain about Badlands Bandits. But anyway, getting back to the report for January through September through today, you see my total sales for the year are $38,181.12. So that is up 47% from the prior period last year. So that's a really huge increase from last year. The taxes and fees that I paid this year are $2,372.98. My selling cost is $12,176.83. And you can see that's 31.9% of my total sales is going towards selling costs. So my net sales, that's the amount of money that I actually took home, was $23,631.31. And that is a 45.6% increase from the same time period as last year. So my quantity sold was 548 items. Average sales price is $69.67. And sales by auction, I only did, I think, one thing so far this year on auction, and that sold for $232.79. Everything else was through a fixed price. In other words, I just put a price on eBay and they paid the price, or they gave me a best offer and I accepted the best offer. So the sales through fixed price was $37,948.33. So Ping G says, yes, I have been selling on eBay since 2000. I have selling 2 accounts. Well, great. I encourage any comments you have about your eBay and how well you're doing. I look forward to hearing more about that and learning more about you. It's good to have you on the show tonight. So as I go down and I'm looking at the year's sales, most of my sales this year have been video games and consoles. So I've done $10,148.06 selling video games and consoles. And that's one of the things I kind of specialize in. I buy old video game consoles and I buy them for parts or repair on eBay. And that's one of the things that I do with my eBay is I will repair those items, get them back in working order, and then list them in my store and bundle them up with controllers and games and the power and AV cables. So they have a complete and working system that they can just purchase from my store. Jewelry and watches. I've sold $1,324.44 in jewelry and watches. Toys and hobbies coming in at number 3. These are like toy vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, vintage and manufactured. $904.64. Toys and hobbies, action figures and accessories, $853. Cameras and photos. That's one of my go-tos. I love selling cameras and photos. It's $820.94. Clothing and accessories. That's mainly just shoes, boots, and men's and women's shoes. I don't sell a whole lot of clothing items like shirts and pants and that sort of thing. I would like to get into maybe listing a little bit more of that kind of stuff. Maybe selling a little bit more of that kind of stuff. But right now, I've just been focusing mainly on my vintage video game consoles and that sort of thing. But clothing and accessories, which is shoes, is $804.06. Collectibles like militaria and challenge coins, $802.58. Video games and consoles, again, this is video games, $763.62. Dolls, bears, and accessories, $651.51. It looks like both of those categories are down from last year. Video games and consoles, again, this is accessories, like video game accessories like controllers and attachments. That's $641.91. Sporting goods, golf clubs, and golf club equipment, $590. Movies and TV, $581. That would be DVDs and Blu-rays and VHS. Collectibles, military surplus hats and helmets, like military helmets. I've had like 3 or 4, about 4 of the Kevlar helmets that I've sold this year, so $573. Collectibles, writing instruments, typewriting. I like to sell typewriters. They sell pretty good. $447.31. Clothing and accessories, that's men's shoes and athletics, $446. Clothing, shoes, and accessories, that's men's bags and stuff like that, $437. Home and garden, vacuum cleaners. I just sold a Dyson. I showed that on my last live stream that I did where I did a what sold, and I just sold a Dyson vacuum cleaner. Those usually do pretty good if you can ever get a hold of a Dyson vacuum cleaner for a decent price. But the vacuum cleaner sales has been about $400.62. Railroad trains and starter sets. I've been selling railroad. I've sold 2 box sets of trains. One of them is a Bachmann, and the other one I can't think of the name, but it's a well-known brand. But $396.86 or 80 cents. And collectibles, edged weapons, $353.23. And then the last items, the last area is men's accessories for hats, $349.15. So hats have not really been my best selling item. I watch with Chad on Wolfman Goodies. He offers some money to anyone who buys his 6th hat. So I guess that helps him get more sales on the hats. But I sell a hat every now and then, but hats just aren't my biggest seller currently. So I'm going to get back to the shared screen, and I'm going to share my last 30 days with you and let you see how it's been doing for the last 30 days. Okay. All right, so the last 30 days, it's been a pretty good last 30 days. I have sold $5,190 worth of stuff in the last 30 days, and I've been averaging the last couple of months. I know the summer slowed down quite a bit for a lot of people who are selling on eBay, but but the last 30 days I've done $5,190.80. So I've been hitting about 5,000 a month for the last 3 months, which that's a good number. I'm happy with 5,000. But there was like 1 month that it slowed down a little bit, and I think the average sales in that month was somewhere around 4,000 or low 4,000, somewhere around there. But the last 31 days, the taxes were $311.68. Selling cost was $1,615.05, and my total amount that I paid on selling costs was 31% of my total sales. And if you have been watching me for any time, you know that I do that dynamic promoted listing. So I don't know if you all who are doing eBay, if you would chime in the comments and kind of let me know what kind of sales promotions are you doing? Are you just doing the 2%, which is the minimum that you are you have to do at least 2% in order to sell on eBay? But are you doing the basic 2%? And if so, how are your sales? And if not, what are you doing? What kind of promoted listing are you doing? So I would appreciate that if you'd put that down there in the comments and let me know what kind of promotions you're doing. So my net sales, so that's the amount that I have actually taken home in the last 31 days, is $3,264.07. The total quantity of the last 31 days is 75 items. That is up 2.7% versus the prior time period, which would be last year, in the last 30 days of last year. Average sales price sticks around $70, $69.21. So it's down about 3.8% versus the prior time period. But my average sales price on my average item that I sell is somewhere around $70 generally. And that's a pretty good average sales price. If you've been doing eBay for any period of time, I'm sure that Ping G, who has been doing eBay for quite some time, understands average sales price. If you watch people like Commonwealth Flipper, Commonwealth Flipper, he does Commonwealth Picker also. But if you listen to him for any period of time, you know that he sells a lot of small items and a lot of low dollar items. So his average sales price is somewhere around the $15 to $20 range, but he still does really well. But he has to sell a whole lot more items in order to bring in the same amount of money that I can bring in just selling a few items. So I would prefer to have the higher sales price per item. That's another thing you guys can add in the comments. If you're selling on eBay, what is your average sale price? So welcome, Dallas Flipping. Good to see you on here. The fees are about 40% of my total profits. Unless I pay, I don't get to play, unfortunately, at the same dynamic rate you're at. So I'm curious about why you're at 45% of your total profits when we're doing the same dynamic promoted listing, and mine is somewhere around 32%. That I'm really curious about that. Any insights you might have would be welcome. And would love to share your comments with everyone. And Ping G says she promotes at 3%, which I think eBay now calls general instead of standard. They changed dynamic, calling it priority. Okay. Well, Ping, if you don't mind sharing, how your store is doing, I'd love to hear about your sales at 3%, and if you don't mind, so that we can put it in perspective, kind of give us an idea of how many items are in your store. I have about 25, a little over 2,500 items in my store, and so my sell-through rate is probably lower than some people who have 400 or 500 items in their store and sell 5 or 6 things a day. I might sell 5 or 6 things a day, but having 2,500 items in my store, I should be selling more than that. And a lot of it has to do with maybe my prices are a little bit too high, and maybe I have some items in my store that just are slow sellers and they need to be updated, and maybe I need to go through and just take out those slow sellers and take them out of my store and have a big yard sale and get rid of them. So I'm going to go down a little bit further and share the 31-day information on the categories. Again, the video game and video game consoles is my best category, which is at $1,365. And then the jewelry and watches, I've sold some high-end watches recently, so that accounts for the $409.18, and that would make it the second highest. And then toys and hobbies, action figures, $215.68. Trains, railroads, trains, and locomotives. That's those two train sets that I sold. One of them was in the last 30 days, $215. That sold for $175, that Bachmann train set. And I bought it at a yard sale for $3. So, okay, Rat Stash says, we haven't been doing promotions. I guess we should. I think you're required to do at least 2% on all of your items. I'm not sure. I know you guys recently just got a store, and I think you got a basic store. Is that correct? So if you want to look at your dynamic promoted listings and see if that would be something that would help increase your sales, that might be something you can look into. The way I see it, I'm paying a higher percentage of my sales to eBay in order to promote at a higher rate. But if I was to have a brick and mortar store, I would have to pay overhead for the store. I would have to pay for the electricity, the water, or any utilities that I would have, internet, all of that. And here, the only overhead I have is this house, and the house that I'm working out of is paid for. And for most eBayers, a lot of folks just do it out of their own home. I'm not out of my own home. This is a house that's just dedicated specifically for eBay. And so it works real well for me, but a lot of folks just do it right out of their basement, and it works for them. So yeah. Dallas Flippin says, in top promoting, they still assess a final value fee. So if I sell a $500 item, they take final value on top of promoted and a general fee. Dynamic starts at 2%, but changes based on the time of day. Okay. And Ping G says, I had a premium store, but downgraded to basic with an average of 220 items now. Average sales price is $19.54. Okay. So you have a little bit lower ASP. So that means that you're probably having to sell a lot more items. How many items do you have in your store? And so what are your average monthly sales with doing that? I did increase my store subscription just this month. I had the basic store, not the basic store, the premium store. Is that that's the first level? Anyway, I had the one where you could do 1,000 listings a month, and then I was ending and selling similar, and my items were also ending and relisting. After 30 days, I think everything in your store regenerates itself, and it relists whether or not you end and sell similar. But I was getting charged to do the ending and selling similar, so I was seeing an increase in my charges because of going over my listing that I had, the listing, allotted listings that I had for the month. So I went ahead and upgraded to the next level of store, and I think that's 5,000 items a month that you can sell. on eBay, and it's only been about 30 days, so I don't know how that's going to increase my bottom line, or if it's going to increase my bottom line. So we'll just have to see how that goes. I went ahead and renewed the subscription and increased my basic store to a premium, or whatever it is, the one that's $5,000 a month. I can't even remember what it's called. So the toys and hobbies, that would be the trains again, $212 and $215. DVDs, Blu-rays, and DVDs, $155.13. Video game consoles, that would be merchandise, video game merchandise, $133.74. Consumer electronics, vintage audio video, VCRs. So I sold a couple of VCRs, I think, for like 50 or something like that. So $133 in VCR sales. I do sell VCRs every now and then. They're not big sellers, but they do sell. Computers, tablets, and networking, that would be a laptop I sold for $124. Sporting goods, golf clubs. I sell golf clubs every now and then. Now, one thing that I found out about my golf clubs is, when I went back and started looking at all my listings, is that I had some high priced shipping on my golf clubs. A lot of the golf clubs I had listed were before the U.S. Postal Service changed their shipping standards, and so I had the longer golf clubs listing for, like, if it's over 21 inches, you're going to have to pay a higher rate, and I had it listed with the U.S. Postal Service as the carrier. So there was a much higher rate than should have been. So I had to go through all of my golf clubs and anything that I had that was over 21 inches long, and reduce the length of the item to make the shipping more reasonable. Even though I was able to reduce the length of the item in the table where you put in the length, the weight, all the dimensions that the calculated shipping is figured out. If you put over 21 inches and it's through the United States Postal Service, it's going to be an outrageous amount of money. So people are not going to buy your items. You have to, I had to learn this the hard way. I had to go in and I had to look at all my listings, and I had to decide, even though it was longer than 21 inches, I'm going to put a smaller dimension so that the shipping rate would be a lesser amount and would be affordable for somebody who's buying that item. Because I did have a lot of items that were in my store that just simply did not sell because of the dimensions that I had on them, and that they were listed with the carrier for U.S. Postal Service. So sporting goods, $109. That would be like baseball gloves and stuff like that. I'm not going to bore you all with the rest of this. You kind of get the idea. You can look at it as I'm going through it. But this is the chart for the month for the sales. Starts with August 30th. And so it goes up. And my biggest day was September 21st, where I sold $584.73 worth of items on August 21st. And my worst day was wait a minute. Was that August? No, that was September 21st. It says August 21st compared to August 21st. Okay, so this was September 21st was my best day at $584.73. And my worst day was September 9th, where I did not have any sales. So it's hard to have a day without a sale. It's kind of like getting a punch in the gut. But every now and then that happens, even to the most experienced sellers. But I like to see the big days, and I can't get discouraged when I have the low selling days. As long as I'm averaging about 5,000 a month, that's that's great. I can't complain. The amount of money that I make is in the $5,000 range is a very good number as far as I'm concerned. I like to stay in that number. So we will move on, and I will share with you what has sold in the last couple of weeks since I did my last what sold. All right. So today I had a pretty good sale. When you're selling a bundle like a Super Nintendo Entertainment System bundle like this here, having just one sale in a day is not too bad. This sold for $139.50, and I bought this for parts repair, and I did whatever I needed to do to get it working, and got it listed with one controller and a video game. And you can see that the console itself is in pretty good condition. So, that's what a lot of times buyers, who are collectors, they want to see. They want to see the stuff, not all discolored or faded. This video game that came with it is called Last Action Hero, and I think I bought that in a bundle of video games that I bought off of eBay as well. So I also buy because when I get the game consoles, I don't usually get any cords or any controllers or games or the power cord or the AV cable. I don't get any of that with it. So I usually go to Amazon and buy the power cord and the AV cable. They usually sell for about $14 to buy a power and AV cable. So that's what I do is I go on to Amazon and I buy that. So that sold today, and the last couple of days I've had some small items sell, like this Hasbro Tomy Heroes Transformers Rescue Bot, and this is Optimus Prime, and it sold for $80.80. This is kind of a small toy. $10.80. Did I say $80.80? I meant $10.80 is what it sold for. But this is kind of a small little toy that I picked up at one of the thrift stores, and I probably have less than a quarter into it. But it sold for $10.80 plus shipping. So that was not a terrible sale, but not one of my best either. And again, I'm always telling you guys, look for these vintage alarm clocks. They really, I don't know what it is about the vintage alarm clocks with the LED numbers and the wood grain, but that's what they want. They want the vintage alarm clocks with the LED numbers and the wood grain and the AM FM. And one thing that I have found that has really helped my sales on these alarm clocks is to just simply take a video. Let's see if I can play this video.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Black Information Network.
Total Body Repair.
And number one here.
All right, I'm going to stop that so I don't get a copyright strike. but having that video really helps a lot as far as being able to make the sale and get those vintage items sold, especially the electronics. Now, this is an item that I bought at a local thrift store. It's called Monster High. Anything Monster High sells pretty good. For you guys who are sellers that are watching, anything Monster High, the Monster High dolls, This is a diary, and it has a little button on the side of it with a battery inside. So when you push the button, it lights up on the outside. If I had known about the video feature, I would have done a video showing this, and I might just go back and, now that I'm thinking about it, and I might revise this listing and add a video showing how it lights up in the front. But these, I bought a stack of these for about $3 each. And so this one sold for $17.99. And I still probably have about 30 of them left. And they sell from time to time. They do pretty good. Don't have any issues with that selling. So the next thing that I sold was a coin. It's a 2015 Dwight Eisenhower presidential $1 coin, and it's in a case, and it has been graded. So I bought this on Whatnot on an auction from a friend of mine who is no longer with us. He was. I mentioned in the past that I had a friend that was here in the Montgomery area that was murdered not too long ago, about maybe 2 months ago. But I bought this off of him on a Whatnot auction, and I think I paid about $8 for it, somewhere around there. But it sold for $26, and it's a presidential special release dollar coin that was released by the U.S. Mint. So Dallas Flippin' Dash says Monster High is hot. Paid $1 for a doll at a church sale, and that sold for $150 in less than 24 hours. Wow. Well, that is an awesome find. Thanks for sharing that with us. That is amazing that you were able to sell that. Now here's another item that I bought a bulk amount of. It's called DreamWorks Trolls Pop'ems, and I bought these for $1 a piece, probably about 30 of them. And this was at a local thrift store, same thrift store where I bought the Monster High stuff, the Monster High diaries. And these little Pop'ems are like, the kids make little bracelets out of them, but I still have about 20 or 30 of them left. And, I paid about $1 a piece for them. And so they're selling for about $8.99 a piece, which is not too bad. That's a pretty good return on the dollar. The next item that I sold was in a lot of stuff that I bought at a yard sale. This is a pair of vintage 1970 Hasbro G.I. Joe black boots. So these are from the 1970s, a pair of black boots for anyone wanting to complete their G.I. Joe collection. They got a G.I. Joe that don't have boots. So they go to eBay and they buy what they can find on eBay. They want to keep everything vintage. So this pair of 1970 Hasbro G.I. Joe boots sold for $8.10. This is something that I just recently listed, and it sold pretty quick within 24 hours. It's a HP touchpad. I bought this at a yard sale. It was marked for $10, and I think I paid about $3 or $4 for it. And so I didn't know if it worked or not, but the woman said that it had a cord that came with it. So I sold it with the cord, but I got it charged up and got it listed on eBay, and it sold fairly quickly for $22.95. Now this item sold, but I had to cancel the order. This was an international sale, and I don't know if any of you have ever shipped a blow mold, but I do not encourage you to do that. um, I bought a couple of blow molds from one person, and I paid like $100 for like 4 blow molds. And this one was one of the blow molds that I bought, and so I tested it and took photos of it. But apparently, this was supposed to be set as a local pickup item only. But apparently, I had my settings uh, messed up on eBay, and so international buyer was able to purchase it. But I had to cancel it because I basically told the person that I could ship it to you, but this is vintage, and by the time I got it to you, it would probably be in about 1,000,000 pieces, because I did sell one kind of similar to this, except it was Minnie Mouse. It's the Minnie Mouse that goes with this one. I sold it, and I shipped it. I packed it really well. I thought I did anyway. But these things are so old and brittle. They're made out of plastic, these blow molds. And by the time it got to the buyer, it had several broken pieces out of it. He sent me pictures of it, and so I just had to take a loss on it. And that one sold for over $100 too. And so I just had to take a loss, and I just refunded his money and told him don't worry about sending it back, because I didn't want to pay for the shipping to have a broken blow mold sent back to me. But the next thing that I sold was this dance pad. Um, I've had this in my store for quite some time. I bought this at the thrift store for $5, and it's been sitting in my store for quite a while. This thing is not a fast seller. I did put a video game with it for the PlayStation 2, the Dance Dance Extreme, Dance Dance Revolution Extreme 2. But this is not something that I would encourage you to pick up if you see it in a thrift store or in a yard sale or anything like that, because it's just a very slow seller, or it was for me anyway. But it sold for $35.99. Dash says the trick is newspaper and packing peanuts. Yeah, I put quite a bit of packing material in the box, and it still got broken. Probably if I had to do it again, there's a trick that I have learned about breakable items that I think I would do. That trick is to put a box inside of a box, and that usually works with glass items that I've had to list and sell in the past and ship out. Yeah, I haven't had anything glass break in a very long time since I have learned that how to do that. The next item that I sold was this USB card bus, and this is for an old vintage PC. This is new old stock for the old PCs. I guess or a laptop. You just plug it into the port on the side, and it gives you additional USB ports. That sold for $19.79. I picked this up at a thrift store for about $1. So $1 into 1979, not too bad. The next item that I sold was this Arthur Godfrey set of 45 records with Columbia. I'm not real familiar with Arthur Godfrey, but this bunch of Christmas songs on here, and somebody wanted it. This has been in my store for quite some time. It's been in my store for so long, I don't even remember how much I paid for it. But it did sell for $20.70. So it's always nice when you have an item that has been in your store for a long time and it finally does sell. I guess there's a buyer for everything. This is something that I listed pretty recently, This is a Sirius XM sound station. This one did not have the remote, but it was in the original box and it was in very good condition. So I would say it was in like new condition, but I didn't list it as like new condition because I don't want people to send it back. See how it's packaged in the box? It's still in the box with all the packing material that came with it. And so, I probably could have listed it as open box and that would have been okay, but I didn't want to take any kind of chance on somebody saying, well, he said it was new and it wasn't new. So that sold for $40.50. I paid $5 for that at my local thrift store. And this is an item that I picked up at a yard sale, and I've had this item in my inventory for at least a year. These vintage Coleman lanterns are used to be a really hot item. I don't know if they're so hot anymore. This one has been sitting in my store for quite some time, but I have sold others that I just listed and they sold within 24 hours. But for some reason, this one sat in my store for over a year. I bought this at a yard sale, and I think I paid $10 for it. With the yard sale that I bought this at, they had I think they had three Coleman lanterns. One was red, one was green, and that was this one, and one was black. This one is a vintage Coleman lantern, and it was made in 1983. If you ever are not sure of the age of the lantern, always look on the bottom, and it has the month it was made over here, and it has the year it was made over here stamped in the bottom. So this was made in June of 1983. So that's how you find out when an item was made. Every now and then I get lucky on women's purses. On this was a Coach women's purse. I bought this at a yard sale not too long ago. It hasn't been in my store for very long. And this is called a patchwork Coach purse. I paid $5 for it, and it sold for $53.10. Now, one thing that I have to be very careful when buying Coach is to make sure you don't get a counterfeit. You have to look at the stitching, and then you have to look at this little tag on the inside and make sure that it all looks right. But this one had a tear right here on the patchwork, and so I made sure and took a good photo of the tear so that the buyer would be aware that it does have the tear on it, and didn't come back and say that I sold them an item and didn't show that. So anytime you have any kind of a defect on an item, even if you think it's going to lower the cost, I could have probably sold this for about $40 more than I did if it didn't have this tear. But $53 out of $5, it's not bad. So I'm not going to complain at all on that one. The next item that I sold was this Xbox Rock Band wire drum set, but this one did not have a pedal. And this is another one of those items that was sitting in my death pile for good grief. I think it was sitting there for about 6 months. Just sitting there waiting for me to list it. And it's a decent drum set. When I pulled it out of the bag and put it together and cleaned it up, I was real impressed with how nice it actually looked. But for some reason in my listing room, I will get a bunch of stuff that I like to list, and it'll gather around me. And I'll have a pile that I'll start building up. I'll bring stuff into my listing room from other areas of the house. and the stuff will just start piling up, and I will just stuff will get buried, and I'll forget about it, and I'll be listing stuff that I want to list. Do you all do that? Do you have items that you want to list over other items, and then you have other stuff that just sits around and doesn't get listed? Well, that was what happened on this one. The next item that I sold was a really good sale, and I was really happy with this one. Uh, there was when I first started getting interested in selling vintage video game consoles, I found out about these Xbox 360s. These were the original Xbox 360s, and this one actually came out of a yard sale. I paid $10 for it in a yard sale, and I did have the cords with it, but I did not have the controller or the video game that I sold with it. This is Dead Island, some kind of zombie game. But these white Xbox 360s are known for a flaw that they have. They're not vented well enough, so the fan doesn't is not able to keep up with the heat inside the console, and it overheats. And it also often gets this thing called the red ring of death. Um, for any of you who are familiar with video game consoles, I imagine Dash would probably be the only one in this live chat that is real familiar with these video game consoles, because this was from an era of his childhood. Because I remember I bought my son, who's the same age as Dash, one of these for Christmas one year, and so his got the red ring of death. But you see, there's a little bit of damage here on the corner. But I did get some positive feedback on this, and this is one of the ones that I bought off of eBay. I think I probably paid about $20 for it. No, I'm sorry, correction. I bought this at a yard sale. This one came from the yard sale, and it was $10. So turned $10 into $81. But a lot of them I did buy off of eBay, and that had the red ring of death, and I paid like $20 or $30 for them. And then I fixed the red ring of death. There's a whole thing that you can do. I might do a video about that sometime in the near future, where you reflow the chip, and so it starts working again. But from what I understand, that doesn't last for very long. A lot of times they go back to being the ring of death. Here's another the electric train set that I sold. I bought this. This is probably, as Dash does, his flip of the week. This would be my flip of the month. I bought this at a yard sale for $3, and it sold for $175. But guys, this thing sat in my office in front of my desk for 4 months. Just sat there, not being listed, while I went on to list things I wanted to list, until I got to the point where I got down to the stuff that had value, but I just had not listed it. So I listed this, and it sold like within maybe 3 days of listing it for $175, which was the 10% off of my asking price of $195. I do 10% off discount on everything in my store. I keep that sale running constantly. So yeah, that was a good sale, but it wasn't real good that I that I let it sit in my office for such a long time without being listed. And I closed the wrong tab, so I'm going to have to get back to my store so that I can show you the next item that I sold. Y'all bear with me. I hate when that happens. Okay. Now we go. We're items for sale. There we go. All right. I had a whole box of these DVDs that were just sitting there, and they didn't have covers. Let's see. Rat Stash says we have a few death piles. It does get overwhelming. And they also said we just rented a 4-car garage to save on storage unit fees. Okay. I had actually bought 3 storage units, and that's what I'm storing my overstock in right now. But this Radiohead CD sold for $13.95. There was a whole box of CDs that we bought at a yard sale. I want to say about 2 years ago, and they just sat in that box for a very long time. And I didn't want to fool with them because they weren't in these jewel cases. They were in the slipcover kind of things, real cheapy, and the plastic with the vinyl on it, and they were just stuck in that. But all of them had these the cover art with them. So what I did was I just ordered a box of these jewel cases off of Amazon, and I put all the cover art, the front and the back cover art, in the jewel cases and just listed them all. And I have sold a few, but they're not real big sellers. They're kind of slow as far as selling goes. So I just wanted to get those things, get started on those and list. They're real easy for listing. As far as listing goes, they don't take any time at all to list. But I put the cover art. There's probably about 100 of them that I put the cover art and the DVDs in the in these jewel cases, and so now I've got them listed, and hopefully I'll sell them all eventually, but it's going to take a while, I'm sure of it. I picked up these 8 ASIC men's shoes. They're brand new. I bought these at a yard sale for $5. I've gotten to where with tennis shoes, I've got a bunch of tennis shoes. And so the only way I'm going to buy any tennis shoes at a yard sale or anywhere else is if they're brand new and if the price is right. Now, these you can see on the box, it didn't have the top. The box did not have a top to it, but you can see on the box that these originally sold for $49.98. And they were originally $79.99. So whoever got these got a really good deal. I sold them for $35.10, which was a really good deal. Whoever bought those got a super good deal. And I bought this at a thrift store for like $3. And what these are hazmat overboots. These are for someone in the military took these. They were probably issued these in the military, and they just took them home with them and just donated them to the thrift store at some point. But these have never been opened. These are the nuclear, biological, and chemical protective boots. They're the over boots. When I bought these, I also bought the chem the chemical suit. It was also in the package, and the gloves with the white inserts that go in them. If you've ever served in the military, you've been issued these at some point. I know I've been issued them on several occasions, so I knew exactly what they were when I bought them, and so the price was right, and so I went ahead and got them. The boots sold for $22.49, and they went to an overseas buyer. You know, that was pretty good turnaround, but it went to an overseas buyer, so that was a international sale. And I found these connects. Anytime you find something like this, a big lot of connects or some kind of what are the other ones that you step on? All the Legos, the Lego sets. Even if it's not in a box and not new, you know, people still are looking for these things because I don't even know if they make connects anymore. But this was 10 pounds, and I bought them in a container for $5, and it sold for $22.05. The next item that I sold is this Roar Rocket skateboard vacuum kit. And I'm not a skateboarder, so I don't know much about this. I had to look it up, but I had no idea what this was. But apparently they're pretty valuable. It's been in my store for over a year, so it's not a quick seller. But this thing was I paid $5 for it at a thrift store, and it sold for $55. So that's not bad on that. These Rocky Core hunting boots sold. I picked these up at a yard sale for $5 very recently and listed them, and it didn't take them very long to sell. They sold for $49. So, you know, boots and stuff like this, you know, we're getting into hunting season. So if you run across, you know, a pair of boots like this that's in a pretty good condition, go ahead and pick them up. They're pretty good pickup, and they sell pretty quickly. So that one sold for $49, and I was really pleased to get that. The next thing that I sold is this bundle. You know, I'm the bundle guy when it comes to video game consoles, and this is an Xbox bundle. And this Xbox bundle sold for $139. This is one of the ones that I bought off of eBay. I probably paid about $20 or $30. Actually, I think this is one that I had on one of my videos that I did a repair on. No, correction. This one is not one I did a repair on. This is one that I ordered off of eBay, and it actually worked, because if you look at the bottom of it, there are no holes in these stickers. So that means that nobody has ever been into this console, including myself. So I put a Duke. This is a OEM original Duke Xbox controller with it, and these video games, I put these with it as well. So it sold for $139, which is a good sale. And this is one of those high-end watches that I was telling you about. I sold two of them. I think I mentioned that on my last video. The other one that I sold, but this one is an Eco Drive watch, and I was not familiar with these kind of watches. But this is a Citizen Skyhawk Eco watch, or Eco Drive men's watch, and it's a special watch because it was made with Blue Angels on the back of the watch. See, it says Blue Angels on there. But if you don't know what an Eco Drive watch is, this is a solar powered watch. It is a very technical and complicated watch. But this is solar powered. When I first got it, it wasn't working. So I thought that I bought this in a buy where I bought a bunch of watches and some ammunition, a bunch of other things from a lady who was selling her husband's stuff. He had passed away. and I paid like $330 for everything that I bought, and I've already made well over $4,000 on the stuff. This is just on top of that. But this watch sold for $382.50. I'm going to show you the video I took of this watch. Even though it's not an electronic, I decided to take a video of the watch to kind of give the viewer an idea of how clean it was and how nice it was. Hey, Marty, welcome to the live stream. But that's a video that I took of that watch just to show, you know, how new looking it was and how clean it was and that it was working. And those videos, I'm telling you, if you're a seller on eBay and you're not using the video feature, you're actually cutting yourself out of a lot of sales, because a lot of folks will go to those videos because that's what they're looking for. The next thing that I sold was this 12 DVD giant collection of 600 cartoons. It's just 12 DVDs in a box, and it sold for $18.90. And I honestly, I don't remember where I got this, but I don't think I would have paid more than $5 for it, but it sold for $18.90. And then this vintage, again, you know, don't sleep on these vintage alarm clocks. I got this thing listed and it sold within 24 hours. I paid $3 for this alarm clock at a thrift store, cleaned it up. This, again, it's the LED with the wood grain. So, you know, if you see these, pick them up. They're really good, easy listings and good sales. And then, you know, again, I did a video with it so I could demonstrate to potential buyers, you know, that it actually works. And here's the other train that I sold. It was a Lionel, and I think I'm going to stop with this one and conclude the video, because I think I'm up to an hour, maybe over an hour by now. But this Lionel train sold for $175. I paid $25 for this at that shop where my friend George, the one that was murdered, worked, and I paid $25 for it. It was basically, you know, in very good shape. All the cars were in their original packaging. I'm surprised it didn't sell sooner than it did, because it was listed for probably about 6 months before it sold. But I do understand, if you look at this box car, it is really warped bad. I don't know what, it's the only car in the whole set that was damaged at all. But you can see right here how warped it is. But it must have gotten exposed to the heat at some point. But the rest of the train set was in really good condition. So there's a really good picture of how bad that boxcar was. It was warped really bad. But it sold for $175, so that was a good sale. So anyway, I appreciate you guys for joining me tonight. Looks like I had a pretty good crowd tonight, and you guys were very good about leaving comments and sharing information in the comments section. I definitely appreciate you joining me tonight, and we're all in this eBay journey together. And it's really a lot of fun for me. And like I had mentioned before, my channel is about retirement, and this is a retirement channel. It's not really an eBay channel, but I do talk about eBay a lot on the channel because it's one of those things that I do in retirement. I'm getting ready to thank you, Renee. I'm getting ready to start making some different kind of content. very soon, because I'll be taking a trip to Pennsylvania and then to Chicago. I'm going to visit my friends Renee and Todd in Pennsylvania where they live, and I'm going to be driving my van up there. But before I go, I have to get in my van, and I'm going to pull out some of the shells. That it was a Cox cable van. I called my van Ethel. It was a Cox cable van, and so it had these metal shelves in it. Still does on one side. I took the rest of them out on the other side. But what I want to do is I want to remove some of those shelves and kind of build it out as much as I can into a camper. So when I went out west in January of this year, I brought my cot with me and I strapped it to the side of the inside of the van with some bungee cords. And so at night I would unstrap it and pull the cot out, and it slept well. I didn't have any issues, but there was at night, getting up in the middle of the night and moving around inside the van, uh, it wasn't real easy to move around inside the van. I'll just put it like that. So what I want to do is I want to build it out and have a permanent bed set up in the van so that I can just go back there and sleep whenever I need to. And also I want to put some cabinets in the van and have a little work area where I can wash dishes and have a little bit of fresh water. I did buy a generator, a solar generator. It's called a Blue Eddy, and it's one of the best solar generators you can buy. And it will be able to run anything that I need to run in electricity wise inside the van without having to plug into the van or anything like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that trip, and I'm going to be making some content when I go up there. We're going to definitely visit Jake's Flea Market, which is one of the flea markets that Renee and Todd highlight in their on their channel. So if you are not a subscriber for Rat Stash, or if you're interested in watching them, go to their channel and check them out. They have really interesting content in the Pennsylvania area where they live. There are several flea markets, and they also run a couple of booths themselves where they are resellers. But I have talked and gone on long enough tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me tonight. Again, thank you so much. It's good to have you here. And for those of you who are subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And for those of you who are not yet subscribers, please consider subscribing to my channel. And be sure and give me a like and a thumbs up. That helps with the algorithm. And leave comments, because when you leave comments, that also helps me with my algorithm. But I do plan on being back next week. Thank you guys for being very understanding with my leave of absence for 2 weeks. Mary and I hope to see you back in Texas sometime soon. Good night. Yeah, I do plan on going through Texas again next January. Dash, I did go see Dash in January of this year, and we had a great visit, and we made a video, so go and check that out on my video feed. Me and Dash did a video together. We actually met a celebrity, didn't we, Dash? But Dash was too shy. Maybe he was too much of a chicken to go say hi to her. Maybe next time he sees her, he'll go say hi to her. And that's who he's talking about when he says Mary. I forget what her last name was, but go check that video out and check out my other videos and watch as many as you can so that I can get those watch hours up. Oh, by the way, I did get my first payment from eBay. It was $609. And it was mainly from that one video that I did that just kind of blew up. But I'm hoping to have some more content that is going to do just as well, but maybe not that type of content. So, so again, you guys have a great evening, and I hope that your Monday is great, and I hope you have a wonderful week this coming week, and stay safe. And I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.